Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, associate, immediate family member, anything in between. I appreciate all of it. There's been a couple interesting things that have taken place over the last day or so, since the weekend. So I guess without further ado, let's get into some of those topics. Give you my takes, put your comments down below, you know the good stuff, you know how we do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the WBC, and more specifically Mauricio Sulaiman, at it again. So on Monday it was announced that the WBC were still not sanctioning any Russian fighters, not even just Russian based, I suppose, but yeah, Russian fighters for the WBC belt, which ultimately means that Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol cannot have a quote-unquote traditional undisputed fight between each other, because the WBC belt would not be eligible to be on the line. Now, in one sense, that only affects Bivol, because if they did fight and Artur Beterbiev won, well, he'd take the WBA title from Dmitry Bivol, and then he would be the undisputed because he would hold every single belt. But if Dmitry Bivol won, then ultimately he, even though everyone would think of him as the undisputed champion because he beat the man in the division, the lineal champion, the Ring Magazine belt would be on the line also. He would have 3 of the 4 sanctioning body titles along with the Ring Magazine, but he wouldn't be able to have the WBC belt. That would remain with Artur Beterbiev. So it's very funny that this is the hill that Mauricio wants to die on in this time. Look, the irony of the whole situation, and I'm sure most of you already know this, Artur Beterbiev is Russian. He has dual citizenship. He has a Canadian citizenship now. He's lived in Canada, I believe, for 10 years, for the last 10 years. And so obviously he applied for citizenship. He's got that, but he was born in Russia. Dmitry Bivol, on the other hand, while I believe he has a Russian citizenship, was born in Kyrgyzstan, which is not Russia. So it's a bit weird why he wouldn't even trade on that to say, well, I'm not a Russian athlete, I'm a Kyrgyzstanian. Like, you would normally think that would maybe just be the route to go down, but I guess there would be some kind of technicality why they say that wouldn't be allowed to work. But again, it's also funny because he's based out of California, like he lives in the USA, and I think he's lived in the USA for about the last 10 years, give or take. I mean, obviously he hasn't gone for citizenship, but whatever the case may be. So he's a Kyrgyzstanian by birthright. His mum's Korean, or at least part Korean, so realistically I'm sure he can even apply for a Korean passport if he really wanted to. There's so many different ways to look at this, but ultimately it's just a case of like, why are they being jerks? Now, I have a theory, and I put this theory on one of Ring IQ's videos. Well, not even the whole theory, I just put the outcome of that theory. Now basically it's so he can't fight Canelo at 168. Basically he wants to go down to 168 to face Canelo for undisputed, so that he can win all the belts from Canelo down there, and then theoretically come back up and win all the belts against Beterbiev. It makes a plausible sense, but Canelo is basically saying, no, I want it at 175 because I don't want people to say that I weight drained him and he wasn't the same. No, I want to beat him at his weight class. Obviously, if Canelo does that, he then obtains another 175 championship that he hasn't held before. But if Bivol goes down to 168, the appeal is now no longer there, because it wouldn't be for undisputed, because the WBC will not sanction a Russian fighter. So it almost feels as if the reason they've done this is just to protect Canelo Alvarez from a potential loss. Well, not even so much a loss, because he could still lose at 168 or 175. But if Dimitri Bivol goes down to 168, well, it's not for Undisputed. So will he really want to strip his body of those extra 7 pounds that he hasn't had to take off, you know, probably in his adult life, just for a fight where, yeah, he gets some belts, but he's not for Undisputed, and he's not going to stay down there and campaign down there full time. He'd go back up to 175. So with the allure of Undisputed not being there, there's no reason for him to do it at 168, which means that Canelo gets what he wants at 175. Dimitri Bivol, I guess, gets another payday, but if Canelo loses again, he's still the Undisputed champion at 168. And even if Bivol did decide to go to 168 and face him down there, well, he's still the WBC champion. That's how it would work. It's almost just the way to protect the Mexican investment. And it's like a lot of the stuff that Mauricio Sulaiman does, you can tell that there's a clear agenda behind it, especially when it comes to like Mexican fighters. Now, I'm not gonna necessarily say that's wrong. I mean, he is Mexican, his father was Mexican. It's a Mexican, I guess, born and bred sanctioning body. It makes sense that you would favor your countrymen to a degree, but when you do things as blatant as this, like, there's no reason for the WBC in any way, shape or form to be getting into the political realms, especially against people that just happen to have been born in a country that don't and have publicly denounced the war that's going on with the Ukraine. Like, and you're just gonna, you know, basically take their livelihoods away or prevent them from achieving and, you know, elevating within their careers. It's just sickening. And it's about time, I think, someone even investigates Sulaiman at this point, because every single thing he can do to be corrupt is like, it's almost like he takes joy in it. It's like he just goes through a list and says, what can I do to piss people off today? What can I do to skim a little more money off the top? Done that. Oh, I haven't tried that one before. Maybe not right now. We'll work on that one. Quick fix. That's literally what it seems like he does from day to day. And yeah, it's sickening, isn't it? But look, leave your opinions down below. Do you think that's basically more so the reason they're really going ham on this at the moment is just to prevent Canelo Alvarez from losing a potential bout at 168 against another non-Mexican, especially if David Benavidez is the fight everyone seems to want? Do you think that's plausible, or do you just think this is Mauricio Sulaiman being a dick as usual? Like, leave your comments down below, let me know. So, Deontay Wilder appears to have got himself in some trouble in California. I believe it was earlier on today, actually. Or I guess maybe yesterday, technically, depending on when you're watching this. But from all accounts, it appears that he was stopped in California for having illegally tinted windows and a number plate or license plate on the car that was partially covered up or not clearly visible. Police approached the car, and then apparently there's a smell of marijuana within the car, and then there is also a concealed weapon. Now, I guess the gun laws are different from state to state. I would assume he potentially would have a permit for weapons in Alabama, where he's from, but maybe it works differently in California. I don't know, but I'm assuming maybe a concealed weapon means that it's not registered. But I'm not going to speculate. I don't necessarily know how those laws play out. But the interesting thing here for me is not even so much that, because obviously he was taken into custody. He's out on bond at the moment. I don't know how much the bond was for. They say he was very cooperative and whatever. And I guess the scenario is he probably didn't want to get jumped, or like, you know, someone approach him to rob him while he's out of the city. So he felt protection was needed. Now, realistically, with the money he's supposed to have in the bank account, you could hire like a private security, you know, armed security that are legally allowed to carry weapons and keep you in the clear. So now you've just lost money for absolutely no reason. But the thing that was more interesting to me specifically was the marijuana, or the smell of marijuana in the car. Now, I'm not saying that he was particularly, taking totes of the herb, but we know for a fact that marijuana, just like cocaine and just like a bunch of other recreational substances, is on the WADA banned list for professional athletes. Could this be a reason why he doesn't have a fight scheduled anytime soon? Surely it can't just be the case of waiting for December, taking a year, 13 months out of the ring again from your previous fight, which was, I believe it was November last year. Is that really the case, or is it a case that you don't want to be drug tested for any period of time? Now remember, I'm talking about recreational drugs. I'm not talking about PEDs, but if it's on the ban list, you ain't supposed to be doing it, especially while you're an active fighter. So that is very telling to me, and yeah, I'm just wondering how that all shakes out. That's more what I'm thinking of more than anything else. I don't think this particularly will jeopardize any potential fight with Anthony Joshua in December or whoever else he chooses to face, but realistically he'll end up, at most he'll probably get a fine or suspended 6-month sentence or something like that. If I can't see him doing any jail time. But yeah, I'm more interested in the weed and the fact that you're supposed to be a clean athlete. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Do you think that's a potential reason why he's not in the ring right now? Because remember, he was talking about that ayahuasca thing earlier, like the hallucinogenic drug that the Native Americans used to use. And so is it just that he wants to have all this time to basically take drugs, do what he wants to do, and then have enough time to get all of that cleaned out of his system by the time he's got to take a test? Is that what all of this is about? That's what I'm more interested in. So yeah, leave your comments below, let me know your thoughts. But not the greatest of looks from him, but I mean, people have done way worse, so fine. Another day, another purse bid that Matchroom lose. But there's been a few of them recently where I've had to, give the rock eyebrow. I'm not going to try and do it on camera because I'm not very good at it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That raised eyebrow, like, that don't really make much sense to me. So, Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith went to purse bid via the WBC, and Bob Arum won the purse bid with Top Rank by a what was the bid? It was $2,115,000. That was his bid. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom put in a bid of 2.1 million, which basically means that Bob Arum won the purse bid by 15 grand. There's been several purse bids from Matchroom very recently whereby the loss has been within £100,000 of scope. The Alan Babich one with Lucas Rozansky, I believe, was about 100, between 80 and 100,000. The Joshua Boatsi one was 100,000. Ludabella bid 975,000 for Jean Pascal. Matchroom bid 875,000 for Joshua Boatsi. The Tyson Fury and Dillian White one, okay, no, that was about a good 9 million, I think was the bid, 9 to 12, something like that. I can't remember the exact figure. So that was different. But there's one of two things going on here. Either someone is leaking Matchroom's their deposits, because you have to put down a deposit if you have an intention to bid. It has to be 10% of the bid you're intending. Now, my question is, should the deposits not go in at the same time so you don't have an opportunity to change them? Like, your deposit must come in between this time and this time on this day. So say it's 3:30 to 3:35. That's when your deposit needs to be in the account. If it doesn't reach the account by then you can't bid. That would seem, but I'm assuming it must be in by this time. And I guess if you put your bid in early, someone sees that and says, oh yeah, so this is what their deposit is, so likely this is what they're going to be bidding. Put in a little bit extra and you're good to go. That clearly seems to be what it is, because there's been several where it's way too close of a number. And let's be real, how do you win a purse bid by £15,000? Now, okay, is it a case where, now I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, because there is a scenario that I would potentially entertain. Both companies know that this fight realistically is about a 2 million. So you say to yourself, okay, well, neither of us are in the business of losing money. So if it's 2 million, 2.1 should do it. But if I know my competitor, he's gonna bid 2.1. But he won't bid any more than that, because I know he knows what it's worth, I know what it's worth. Alright, let me throw in an extra 10, 15,000 just on top of that, because that's going to be his maximum bid. I won't lose anything. I can probably find somewhere to make back that extra 15k. So I can potentially entertain that as a scenario, if you like, you know, if you really crunch numbers and know numbers. But there's a pattern developing here. Now look, no one's going to win every purse bid, no one's going to lose every purse bid, but the fact Matchroom seem to be losing a lot of purse bids by very thin margins, that to me communicates that someone is talking their business behind the scenes. I mean, look, the flip side is to potentially say, well, actually no, they know what the other team's gonna bid and they don't want to have the financial implications on themselves, so they just basically run it up to a position where they know that's what they're gonna bid, we'll bid just under it just to make sure that it stays good. If we get it, okay, fine, but if not, well, they've had to pay the maximum, our guy gets more than, you know, he would have got previously. Okay, you can maybe entertain that scenario here and there, but realistically, because the zone need content, they need guaranteed fight dates, they need appealing fights. A WBC light heavyweight championship is definitely an appealing fight, and it's not just a WBC belt, it would be the WBO and the IBF belts on the line as well. Like, that's definitely works to the zone's demographic, especially within the UK and Europe. So there would be absolutely no reason for them not to want that fight on the broadcast. So yeah, there's way too many of these happening by such a close margin for me to believe that, you know, that there's not something going on. There's a mole in the camp somewhere, someone is crooked, someone is handing off information from one of the governing or one of the sanctioning bodies. So what they need to do is just make these things public and forget about having to deposit the percentage before the purse bid, because I always thought that you have to, if you win the purse bid, you have to then give the percentage over in tiding and then put the rest in escrow to guarantee that you have the funds. But now they're saying that a lot of these purse bids, you have to put in a percentage of what you're intending to bid to begin with. If that's the case, then there needs to be some kind of rule that says that purse bid, that deposit must come in between this time and this time from all parties that are interested in bidding. And then ultimately you just make sure that you put it in right at the very end. So at least that time you guarantee it's fair. So if it's supposed to be by 3:35, you make sure you put it in at 3:33 or 3:34, so the other team doesn't have a chance to find out what it is. Only make it a 5-minute window, so there's not enough time to have communications going between other parties, because clearly at this point someone is talking business that they shouldn't be and probably getting a nice little backhander to do it. And I mean, look, am I gonna cry a river for Matchroom? No, but you know, I can see corruption when I can see corruption. I don't need glasses for this one. Something is clearly wrong. It does not smell good at all. So yeah, hopefully they can get that sorted out, because that's just crazy. You know, long and short of it. But yeah, look, I mean, leave it there. You guys leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would put into place to try and prevent some of these situations. Again, like and subscribe and share with your friends and family and everyone else in between. I appreciate it. I'm gonna get off, got a few things to do. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, enjoy your evening. For right now, it's Hardcore Casual out.